Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Jai Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Mr. Bhad Paramahansa, Parudika Acharya, Ashtotar the Sri Srimad, Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa, Parudika Acharya, Ashtotar the Sri Srimad, Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Krantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Narayana Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Hadiriyet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashta prayesha budreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyuttama shloke bhakti bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering devotional service to the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious within the heart is destroyed almost to nil, and loving devotion to the Supreme Lord, who is glorified in transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 25th day of December 2019 in SanDiego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. In Canto 4, The Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 21, Instructions by Maharaj Prithu, we're reading text 34. Asavihanek guno gunodvara Pratag vidhan dvamyaguna kriyoktibihi Sampadjate thashayalinganamabhir Vishuddha Vijnana Ganaswarupataha Asavihanek guno gunodvara Pratag vidhan dvamyaguna kriyoktibihi Sampadjate thashayalinganamabhir Vishuddha Vijnana Ganaswarupataha Asavihanek guno gunodvara Pratag vidhan dvamyaguna kriyoktibihi Sampadjate thashayalinganamabhir Vishuddha Vijnana Ganaswarupataha Asavihanek guno gunodvara Pratag vidhan dvamyaguna kriyoktibihi Sampadjate thashayalinganamabhir Vishuddha Vijnana Ganaswarupataha. Go ahead, man. Asavihanek guno gunodvara Pratag vidhan dvamyaguna kriyoktibihi Sampadjate thashayalinganamabhir Vishuddha Vijnana Ganaswarupataha Asavihanek guno gunodvara Pratag vidhan dvamyaguna kriyoktibihi Sampadjate thashayalinganamabhir Vishuddha Vijnana Ganaswarupataha. Not today. Not today? Okay. Asau, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Iha, in this material world. Aneka, various. Guna, qualities. Agunaha, transcendental. Advaraha, yagya. Pratak vidha, varieties. Dravya, physical elements. Guna, ingredients. Kriya, performances. Uktibihi, by chanting different mantras. Sampadjate is worshipped. Artha, interest. Ashaya, purpose. Linga, form. Namabihi, name. Vishuddha, without contamination. Vijnana, science. Ganaha, concentrated. Swarupataha, in his own form. Translation, Maharaj Prithu continued to instruct the citizens. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is transcendental and not contaminated by this material world. But although he is concentrated spirit soul without material variety, for the benefit of the conditioned soul, he nevertheless accepts different types of sacrifice performed with various material elements, rituals, and mantras, and offered to the demigods under different names according to the interests and purposes of the performers. Yeah, I'm just going to highlight this. Give me a second. Purport. For material prosperity,
There are recommendations in the Vedas for various types of yajna or sacrifice. In the Bhagavad Gita 3.10, it is confirmed that Lord Brahma created all living entities, including human beings and demigods, and advised them to perform yajna according to their material desires. Saha yajna praja srishtva. These performances are called yajnas because their ultimate goal is to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. The purpose of performing yajnas is to get material benefit. But because the aim is to simultaneously satisfy the Supreme Lord, such yajnas have been recommended in the Vedas. Such performances are, of course, known as karma kanda, or material activities, and all material activities are certainly contaminated by the three modes of material nature. Generally, the karma kanda ritualistic ceremonies are performed in the mode of passion. Yet the conditioned souls, both human beings and demigods, are obliged to perform these yajnas because without them one cannot be happy at all. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that these karmakanda ritualistic ceremonies, although contaminated, contain touches of devotional service because whenever there is a performance of any yajna, Lord Vishnu is given a central position. This is very important because even a little endeavor to please Lord Vishnu is bhakti and is of great value. A tinge of bhakti purifies the material nature of the performances, which by devotional service gradually come to the transcendental position. Therefore, although such yajnas are superficially material activities, the results are transcendental. Such yajnas as the Surya Yajna, Indra Yajna, and Chandra Yajna are performed in the names of the demigods. But these demigods are bodily parts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The demigods cannot accept sacrificial offerings for themselves, but they can accept them for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just as a departmental tax collector of a government cannot collect taxes for his personal account, but can realize them for the government. Any yajna performed with this complete knowledge and understanding is described in the Bhagavad Gita as Brahmarpanam, or a sacrifice offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since no one but the Supreme Lord can enjoy the results of sacrifice, the Lord says that He is the actual enjoyer of all sacrifices. Bhoktaram yajna-tapasang sarvaloka maheshwaram. Sacrifices should be performed with this view in mind, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 4.24. Brahmarpanam brahmahavir brahmagnau brahmanahutam brahmayavaten gantavyam brahmakarma samadhina. A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. Close quote. The performer of sacrifices must always keep in view that the sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas are meant to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vishnuraradhyate panta, this is from the Vishnu Purana 389. Anything material or spiritual done for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord is understood to be an actual yajna, and by performing such yajnas, one gets liberation from material bondage. The direct method of getting liberation from material bondage is devotional service, comprising the 9 following methods. Those who know can chant along. Shravanam kirtanam Vishnu, smaranam parasevanam, archanam bandhanam dasyam, sakyam atmanivedanam. This is Prahlad Maharaj speaking, SrimadBhagavatam 7.5.23. This 9-fold process is described in this verse as Vishuddha Vijnana Gana, or satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly by transcendental knowledge concentrated on the form of the Supreme Lord, Vishnu. This is the best method for satisfying the Supreme Lord. One who cannot take to this direct process, however, should take the indirect process of performing yajnas for the satisfaction of Vishnu or yajna. Capital Y. Vishnu is therefore called Yagyapati. Shriyapatim Yagyapatim Jagapatim. That's from Bhagavatam 2.9.15. Okay, one more paragraph. A long one. The Supreme Personality of Godhead's deep scientific knowledge is concentrated to the supreme point. For example, medical science knows some things superficially, but doctors do not know exactly how things happen in the body. Lord Krishna, however, knows everything in detail. Therefore, his knowledge is Vijnana Gana. Gana means concentrated, because it does not have any of the defects of material science. the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Vishuddha Vijnana Guna, concentrated transcendental knowledge. Therefore, even though he accepts, and that's pure, completely pure, concentrated transcendental knowledge, therefore, even though he accepts karma kandya, materialistic yajnas, he always remains in a transcendental position. Therefore, the mention of Aneka Guna refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead's many transcendental qualities, for he is not affected by the material qualities. The different kinds of material paraphernalia, or physical elements, are also gradually transformed into spiritual understanding, because ultimately there is no difference between material and spiritual qualities, for everything emanates from the Supreme Spirit. This is realized by a gradual process of realization and purification. One vivid example of this is Dhruva Maharaj, who took to meditation in the forest to achieve material benefit, but ultimately became spiritually advanced and did not want any benediction for material profit. He was simply satisfied with the association of the Supreme Lord. Ashaya means determination. That's in the original verse, I believe. Generally, a conditioned soul has the determination for material profit. But when these desires for material profit are satisfied through the performance of yajna, one gradually achieves the spiritual platform. Then his life becomes perfect. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.10 therefore recommends. Those who know can chant along. Akama sarvakamo va mokshakama hudadadi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Everyone, whether a kama, a devotee free of material desire, sarvakama, a karmi, or mokshakama, a jnani or yogi desiring liberation, is encouraged to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the direct method of devotional service. In this way, one can get both material and spiritual profit simultaneously. Om jnanatimarandasya jnanandana shalakaya chakshu unmilitam mena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara, the disciplic succession. So Maharaj Prithu is instructing his citizens, and he's explaining that the Lord will accept different sacrifices unto the demigods if they're done properly according to the Vedas, and there's an element of Vishnu worship in them, as explained in the purport. So this is it reminds me of how Prabhupada preached when he first came to America. There had to be so many compromises in order to actually get the ears of the people of the Kali Yuga in the middle of Manhattan. And so, he never changed the philosophy, that's for sure. But he did not introduce all of the strict practices that really it means to be a Vaishnav. He didn't start off his lectures in 22nd Avenue with a complete explanation of the four regulative principles. That more or less came later. When the initiations came, then that became a very important thing. If you're going to take that step, then this is part of it. Although he introduced them, but he wasn't. If you smoke cigarettes, you can't come to the temple. It wasn't like that. Everyone can come, and because he knew the power of the real yajna of the age, the Sankirtan yajna, which he was emphasizing, to purify, and it worked. And this is really similar to what Prithu is doing here, because he knows people are attached. They want to perform a sacrifice. Well, for what? What will I get out of it? Okay, I'll go to heaven. So that's what the whole karma kanda section of the Vedas is, because you have to start with where people are at. If you're going to try to bring them further along. And so, but it makes it very clear that when doing that, one should have some understanding of the relationship to the Lord. And that comes in the purport here, and also in the verse, that these different demigods are just part of the Lord's body, means a part of the universal form. That comes in the beginning of the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. What is this? Adi, what is it? Adi Bhuta, Adi Atmak, Adi Daivak, and Adi Yajna. So Krishna is Adi Yajna. He's the ultimate enjoyer of all sacrifices. But the demigods are part of the universal form, and they receive so many sacrifices with people who have material desires. But they can't either receive them or give the results without Krishna's participation. So that's why he says at the end of the 5th chapter, which is quoted here, Bhoktaram yagita pasang sarvaloka maheswaram. I am the enjoyer, ultimate enjoyer, of all the sacrifices and penances that people perform. Sarvaloka maheswaram. I am supreme lord of all the worlds. So the idea is to wean people off. You know, wean is something that happens slowly, gradually, right? Off of this attachment to material things, which by good fortune in the Vedic culture they're trying to fulfill within the Vedic paradigm, Karma Kanda section, and try to bring them forward up to the Upasana Kanda and ultimately the pure sacrifice to Krishna for the only purpose of getting pure love for the Lord. Now Prabhupada mentions Dhruva here, who's a perfect example of observing. Now, he went out to the forest. He was insulted by his stepmother, and right near the beginning of the universe here. And he was I think the first son, the older son of King Uttanapada. But he he had 2 wives, and his favorite wife was Suruchi, means very beautiful. Suniti means very virtuous. She was less favorite, which means I guess she wasn't as physically attractive or whatever. Anyway, the king was controlled by that wife, Suruchi. So when her son, Uttama, got on the lap of the king, said, "Oh, this is good, because then he's favoring this my son, so maybe he'll get the kingdom." I mean, she was like calculating that way. But Dhruva was the eldest son. When he wanted to come onto the lap, she said, "No, you can't until you get the favor of God and take birth from my womb." So she recommended that he needed to get God's mercy. So Dhruva, his Kshatriya spirit, came to the fore, even though he's 5 years old, and he was very much offended. He ran to his mother. He wasn't crying, he was complaining. He was informing her what happened. He said, "What can I do? I'm not the favored wife, but she gave you good instruction." Suruchi said, "You have to get the mercy of God." Now Prabhupada adds, I don't think it's in the Bhagavatam, I looked, that she then said, so Dhruva asked, "Well, where is God?" And then she said, "Well, I've heard that the great yogis and sages, they go out to the forest to find him, So off he went, I mean, it reminds me of Prabhupada coming to America, I mean, just like, it seems like hope against hope. How could it possibly work? The 5-year-old boy going out into the dangerous forest alone. So Narada Muni comes down because he knows his qualities, and he first of all, he tests him. He says, "Dhruva, what's happening?" So he tells him the story and says, "Well, you're too young now. I'll teach you all about yoga later. You can be a realized guy." And Dhruva says, "Thank you very much, sir, but I'm determined." That's why he's known as Dhruva. Dhruva means fixed. So he starts going out. Says, "Okay." So that he teaches him a form of yoga that's infused with bhakti, but it has unbelievable austerities. It's just like, really? So he gets the instruction. One part of it is to always chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Another part is to do rudimentary deity worship. Even where is he going? He's going to Vrindavan forest, basically. Madhuban, and he performed a deity worship. You could do it by the river. You take some mud and you make a little form and you do the artik, and then at the end you dissolve it and you do it the next day. It's okay to do that if that's all you can do. So he was doing that. He was meditating on the Lord in the heart. He was chanting the Lord's name and performing, austerities. Was he standing up on one leg or something? He was standing and praying, and reducing his eating. First of all, he's eating the fruits that fall. And then I think he stopped doing that, and he started eating the leaves and the bark, and he stopped eating altogether, just breathing deeply and slowing the breath deeply. So he was then training the entire universal breathing. So all the demigods were also feeling that they couldn't breathe. So they go to Vishnu and complain, "Can you do something?" He says, "Okay, I'll go down and see my devotee," because by that time he had been chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya for almost 6 months. And so he goes down, and Dhruva's meditating on the Lord in his heart. Suddenly he can't see him in the heart, opens his eyes, and there's his worshipable Lord in front of him on Garuda. And so he falls down in ecstasy. The ecstasy they describe is amazing. It's like he's devouring him with every one of his senses and, rolling on the ground. And so then, of course, then comes the offering of prayers. So he couldn't offer prayers. He's only 5 years old. He never studied in the Gurukul, didn't know Sanskrit. But he got touched by the conch. Vishnu touched him with the conch. He's got four arms with those 4 items. And immediately starts offering these beautiful prayers. Now, it's not in the Bhagavatam, what the prayer that the Prabhupada made so famous, but others are that are beautiful. But the one that's most famous is where he says, Sthanabhilashi tapasistitoham tvam praptavan devamunindra guhyam kacham vichinvan apidivya ratnam swaman kratartosmi varangmayache. So he says, Sthanabhilashi, I was longing for a position on my father's lap and ultimately the kingdom, right? Sthanabhilashi, tapasi stitoham, and therefore I was situated in extreme austerities, tapasya, tapasi stitoham. But now I've gotten you, my Lord, tvam praptavan, deva munindra guyam, who are hidden away even from the demigods and the greatest munis. Munindra guyam means hidden. So now I realize, Kacham Bachinvan, I was searching after broken shards of glass in the form of the kingdom of the whole earth. Kacham Bachinvan, Abhidivyaratnam. And I realized that because I've gotten this divine jewel of your darshan. Divyaratnam, literally divine jewel. So now my heart has changed. Swaman, O Lord, Kratartosmi Varangnayache. I'm not begging to you for any kind of material boon. In fact, no boon at all. I've got it already. I've got your darshan. So then there's another one, the one in the Bhagavatam that I memorized. It's so sweet. Bhakti muhupa vahatam trayame pasango bhuyadananda mahatam amalashayanam yenanja sobana madhu vasanam bhavabdim neshe bhavad gunakatam atapana matta. So Vishnu offers them anything you want, just like Nrsingadev offered Prahlad, and anything you want you can have. So here's all I want, my Lord. It says, let me have the association of your devotees in whose hearts your devotion to you is flowing like a powerful river. Bhakti Mahu means always, Bhavahatam, flowing. Trahime Prasango. This word Prasanga keeps coming up. It's there in the Kapila Dev. Prasanga means, there's Sangha and then there's Prasanga. If you're going to have the word Prasanga, then you have to differentiate from Sangha. So Sangha means it's good. You get to, you come into the association of devotees and you're getting instruction. But your mind maybe wander a little here and there, when it's prasadam, whatever. And but prasanga means you're hanging on every word. It means that you're completely fixed and hearing and drinking in the association, what you're getting with every fiber of your body. That's prasanga. So he says, I want to have that kind of association with your great devotees in whose hearts bhakti is flowing. What will be the benefit? That is it. Yena, by which Anjasobana Maru Vasanam Bhavabdim, this ocean of birth and death, which is full of blazing fire-like dangers, it's Prabhupada's immortal words in his translation, I will easily be able to cross over it. Neshe Bhavad Gunakatama Tapana Matta, because I'm becoming mad to drink the intoxicating nectar of talks about you. And by simply that absorption, I'll be crossing that ocean. This is a very nice prayer. Beautiful purport too. So what happened to Dhruva? His desire evolved. Again, this is the sum and substance of Bhakti Yoga, is to try to purify your desire. Our desires are all over the map. They're spread throughout the material energy. We have so many aspirations, future aspirations, immediate aspirations. That's our desire. But all of that is saturated with the modes of nature because it's relation to the body, gross and subtle. Don't forget the mind can have extreme desires too. Often it's more powerful even than the senses. So, how to purify? It's not just a question of understanding. You can understand the philosophy, but karma has taken over your senses, mind, and body. Right? In the end of the 3rd chapter, very instructive of the Bhagavad Gita. Our enemy, material desire, kama, headed by sex desire. It takes over the strategic points in your being, your intelligence, your mind, and your senses. And then you're controlled by that. That famous verse, Kamadinam katina katita palita dunideshas. This is by Madhavendra Puri, the original. He says, in how many ways have I sought to obey the seductive demands of my wicked desires? They've shown me no mercy, yet on I've gone shamelessly trying to quench lust's unquenchable fires. But now I'm rejecting these hellish desires, for my higher intelligence now has awoken. O Krishna, O shelter of fearlessness, please let me serve you with faith that will never be broken. Now this is a very interesting poem, because he has, or verse, big verse, because he says, he understands now that we're in the thrall, the control of these lower desires. And how do we understand that's not good? From hearing, from reading philosophy, and understanding there's a whole different way of life, you see. And you know, you can tell from just contemplating material life in others or in yourself, how all of the trying to fulfill these desires just leads to misery. If you fulfill it, that in itself leads to misery, you know, because it's never what it seems, and then it's taken away from you, or it produces a bad effect. You know, all these drugs and alcohol and everything, you know, or gambling, you know. Even if you win, you go, we got to go back. Maybe I'll really hit the jackpot. Then you lose everything. Insanity. So, and if you don't fulfill the desires, that's another kind of misery, right? Shochati, lamenting, hankering, and you never get what you desire. That's another misery. So in all ways, material desire leads to misery. If anything, it leads to another material body. That's it. So now we recognize that, but still the desires are there. See, that's the problem. It's not, you're not in control of that. It's still in there in your mind and your body and everything. So therefore, he's praying. You see, I understand this now. I've been in a slave to this kama adina. Means kama, krodha, lobha, moha. Not just this lust and its concomitants. Because with the kama, after that comes the anger when it's frustrated. And lobha, if it is satisfied, you become more and more and more. I have to get more and more money, you know. So all of those, they proceed from kama. So they're in there. What to do? We need training. That's why he approaches the Lord, and he says, "Now, please engage me in your service." You see, that's the thing. Just understanding you're controlled by lust is not going to help. You need a method, you need activities by which those same senses, that same mind, that same intelligence, which is saturated with lust, can be engaged in Krishna's service, and Krishna will purify all of those when he sees that you're actually engaged in service. That's the power of bhakti. And so that's exactly what this is all about. Okay, you want to worship the demigods and go to heaven, fine. But do it with this understanding. Do it with understanding that Vishnu is there. He's the one who's actually bestowing. Read the Bhagavad Gita. He says, whatever that you get from the demigods is actually coming from me. But if you think it's all coming from the demigods and you forget about me, then you're alpamadasa. You're not very smart. And whatever you get is temporary and just increases your material entanglement. Even if you go to heaven, your punya runs out, you come back, you're enjoying like anything up there, forgetting all about me, and then you come back down here to Martya Loka, the world of death. So what did you do? You didn't progress at all. But if you perform these sacrifices, understanding that the boons are really coming from me, then there's an element of Vishnu worship, Krishna worship, and eventually you get purified and give it up altogether. It's in a way, you know, I mean, prasadam is always purifying, but the Sunday feast kind of works like that also, in a sense. You come, I mean, even if you're in a temple, I've spent many years, you know, just blowing out on the Sunday feast. I remember in Brooklyn, I had this thing with laddus and halva. I mean, you can see, I didn't get fat, you know, but I mean, I weighed about 180 pounds at one point, you know. And because I would just, you know, I couldn't control it. It was like whatever laddus were left over, even on the plates of the guests, you know, they wouldn't eat. I would go and get it. And then at the end, I would be laying out my bunk and say, okay, never again, never again, never again. Next Sunday, the same thing. So, but you know, there was no question of going outside. It was all within the temple, you know, it's prasadam, you know, and gradually you get purified. So that's the same idea is there. So, but the thing is, it's a dangerous position to be holding on to the material side, to say, oh no, we got to worship Surya, we got to worship Chandra, like that. Because there's a lot of modes of nature involved in there. You're kind of playing with fire. So you may be in that culture, but you have to progress as fast as possible to the point of pure bhakti. And so Prabhupada, in this long and very rich purport, he comes to the point of giving what we should aspire for, the 9 processes: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam, all in relation to Vishnu directly. The direct devotional service is what really produces the purification very, very quickly. And then you really come to see, I was so distracted by all these demigods for so long, And you find, well, there's a verse by Madhavendra Puri, another one where he says, my morning bath. Now, of course, we take our morning bath, but this is like the ritual bath that, before worshipping the gods. I'm offer my obeisance to you. I don't have time for you now, And says, no more of this karma kanda section for me, I think it's just sufficient that I just worship the lotus feet of that beautiful blue boy who's dancing in Vrindavan forest, that type of thing. But I was especially thinking of the verse by Prabodhananda Saraswati, where he says, those who have been empowered by the merciful sidelong glance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which comes from preaching and doing bhakti straight on, then they get this benediction like this, and he has a whole list. Prabhupada quotes this verse a lot. Kaivalyam narakayate Tidashapur akasha pushpayate Durdandendra yakada sarva patali prodkata dangstrayate Vishwang purna sukhayate Vidi mahindra adishta kitayate Yat karunya kataksha vaibhavatam tam golane vastuma. I am worshipping the golden Lord Chaitanya, one who receives the mercy of his sidelong glance. This is the result, the transformation of his mentality. First is kaivalyam nadakayate. What does that mean? You know what it means? But merging into Brahmana, or even worse, imagine merging into the body of the Lord. Oh my God, I can't even. It's like going to hell, And Tridashapur, now sometimes it's 33 million. There's all of these different heavenly planets and different gods who can give different boons, It's no more meaningful to you than an Akash Pushpa, which is sky flower. In other words, there's no sky flower. It doesn't even exist for you. Who cares, Pushpa. Durdan dendriya kata sarva patali porkata dangstrayate. It's a very important line. The very difficult to control senses. Durdanta indriya means difficult to control senses, which are like serpents with the poison fangs, like cobras, who'll come and bite your consciousness and take away your Krishna consciousness. The senses are there, still the senses are there, the snakes are there, but they've had their fangs removed. So they're harmless. In other words, you're using those very senses to serve Krishna. So they may look like, they still can bother you, but they can't bother a devotee, because you've been empowered by Lord Chaitanya, blessed by Lord Chaitanya. And then he says the whole world, which is certified by Krishna as Dukali and Mashashatam, the place of misery, one second, which is temporary, is full of happiness. Now, this has to be understood. For the devotee, he sees the pastimes of the Lord going on everywhere. He sees the Lord in everything and in everyone. So he's always relishing in darshan with the Lord. But he recognizes that people are suffering, so he tries to help them. That's like Prahlad's mentality. I have no problem. I can just chant your glories and merge my consciousness in an ocean of nectar. But I am lamenting for these poor souls who haven't gotten you, and so I'm going to try to save them. So, Vishwang Purna Sukhayate, and then pertinent to this especially, Vidi Mahimdarishtakitayate, that Lord Brahma and all the other demigods you see is no more significant for you. You don't disrespect them, but you don't, as insects. In other words, I'm not inspired to worship Lord Brahma as great as he is, because I know that Krishna is trillions of times more powerful. You know what I mean? And so this is, if you study this verse, it's very scientific. The Mayavadis, the worship of the demigods to go to the heavenly planets, the yogis who are trying really hard to control those senses, Durdantendriya, but the devotees who are blessed by Lord Chaitanya, they don't have to go through all of that. You know, the senses are there. You're using them for Krishna's service. You're not repressing them and stopping them, you know. But they're used and they're harmless for you. In fact, they're aids in serving Krishna. Anyway, that's Lord Chaitanya's movement, which takes you from the place you're in. And of course, here you have to introduce the Vedic culture. You have to be doing things in a Vedic way. But it quickly brings you to the point of intense purification by direct devotional service. So that's what this verse is all about. Yes, the yajnas and the tapasyas are there for worshipping the gods. Although he's without material, for the benefit of the conditioned souls, he accepts different types of sacrifice performed with various material elements, rituals, mantras, offered to the demigods under different names according to the interest purpose of the performers. So, if one understands that, when he's offering, you know, worshipping Shiva and all the others, then you can make progress toward Vishnu. And after a while, you say, why am I going through these gods? Let me just go directly to Krishna. And that's right. You had a question? Yeah, the mic, right next to
you. I was wondering, there's a story about a snake or serpent that came complaining to Krishna that she was being kicked and kind of tossed around by others, and so Krishna gave advice. So I don't know, Alex and I don't know the story, so I was wondering if you know the story.
And then he said, just show your foot. Yeah. So the one where show the fangs, but don't bite anybody.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not sure how that fits in here. We did have the snake without the fangs, but I think the idea there is that sometimes, just like Prabhupada said, when trying to discipline the children, whatever you do, don't hit them, but you can show the stick, you know, so they'll accept your authority. You know, there's a fine line. You don't want to terrorize, you know, but huh? Yeah, that's a little on a different level. I mean, it's called a whipping stick in the translation, but it's not. Was it ever used to whip? No. It's just something, as you say, to kind of you know. Yeah, it's a way of using the authority, you know, without going over the line. You know, that's what that's all about. So that's a good. Okay, okay. Any other questions, comments? These instructions are really nice, you know.
People personally, they're coming for decades to Krishna temple, and they're still more inclining to the demigods, worshipping.
Well, they haven't been listening to the lectures. They haven't been reading Prabhupada's books, have they? That's, you know, that can happen. I mean, they're still coming though. So they're getting Krishna's darshan, they're getting the prasadam, they're hearing the holy name. You know, the thing is, this is one of the great advantages that the Westerners have over those who were raised as children in that culture. It's really hard to give it up in, you know, what you've learned as a child, especially if it's something like, you know, in other words, it's similar. You know, we got the murtis, and you know, we got the singing, and so it's very difficult to give it up. So Westerners, we didn't have any of that, so it was a clean slate. So Prabhupada could plant the seed, and those who took it for what it is, you know, they made a lot of advancement, and that was a genius move. Yeah.
So, if you could just clarify, because I've heard it many times, but just to more solidify my understanding. So, because we were saying about if someone's like been coming for many years, but they're still worshiping the demigods, and it's like still fixed in the mind. Oh, I have to worship Ganesh Ji and Shiv Ji and Durga Ji and this Ji, and but they are coming to the temple and they're like taking prasadam and they're in kirtan and they're taking darshan and everything. So my understanding. So if their mentality isn't correct, they won't be getting the right benefit, right? Like if
they will be getting the full benefit. There's a big anchor in there.
Yeah.
You know, that's preventing, because it's an offense.
Yeah.
You know, it's the second offense. Equating, not equating, but seeing the demigods, the names of the demigods, as separate. That's what did we say? To regard
Equal to or independent of.
Yeah, right. Equal or independent. There's two different things there. God, I had that verse. What is it? Binna. It's to see them separate or not separate. In other words, if you see them abhinna, means with no distinction. That means that you can chant any name. You can chant Shiva. You can chant Kali. It's all the same. That's kind of Mayavad. Or you see separate, meaning that, all right, I'm going to get a benefit from serving Krishna, I don't know what they think. Love, just love in general. And then, but then when I worship Shiva, and especially Ganesh for the business, I don't want to neglect the business. So let me worship Ganesh, just be on the safe side. And, Indra for longevity, whatever. There's a whole list. Prabhupada quoted that verse. Akama sarvakama va. That's seeing the names and seeing the demigods as on more or less an equal level, but having separate powers to offer different benefits. That's offensive. But at least they're hearing the holy name, getting the association, and contributing. Maybe someone who helped pay off the mortgage was thinking someone along there. Well, that was a great thing. Sukumar came, gave the 70,000. I said, oh my God, I haven't given anything like that in the last 10 years. In other words, it kind of puts everyone on the spot, that's and boom, you paid the mortgage off. So that's fantastic. That just by being around, just by coming, even if they have all this mentality, then suddenly can do a significant service. It may take a birth or two, to come to the point of, if they take birth in America, in a Indian family, then they won't be raised in that, but who knows, it may be a devotee family. So it's a long process. This is something that Prabhupada saw that's right there in the Gita at the beginning. Yes, there's no loss of diminution, even a little advancement protects you from the greatest danger, which is to lose the human form of life. And then in the 6th chapter he explains, yes, you get birth in the Shuchi pure family, Brahminical or Yogi family. In other words, it starts you on the path. And once you get going, you're going to reach the end. You may postpone it for several births, but it's all auspicious. So there's that element of it.
What about also if someone has a Mayavad conception and they're coming to the temple? Because there's the idea of don't preach to the faithless, so should we like...
Well, the thing is, real Mayavad, they won't be happy here. They may come, but they're looking for people to defeat, they're not really taking the mercy. Mostly people are not really dyed-in-the-wool Mayavadis. They have impersonal tendencies, but they like Krishna.
No Shastra.
Because you really have to be philosophically astute to be a determined Mayavadi. So they're offenders, and they won't feel comfortable amongst all of this, devotion.
Yeah, if they come and we give them prashadam, they think like, oh, this prashadam's false. It's
they're not happy. Yeah. All right, one more, Madhavendra. One more. Okay, it's getting late. Go ahead.
I guess this doesn't fall under demigod worship, but like someone that grew up Christian or Catholic, how do you preach to someone with that faith?
Hey, I believe in Jesus. Prabhupada said Jesus Christ is our guru. And what did he say? Love thy God with all thy heart and all thy mind. We're into that, brother, whatever. Huh? Yeah.
But a lot of them don't see it that way, or the ones that I've talked to.
Yeah, that's where, and Christ and Krishna, the name is the same. Go to the Old Testament with David, play the cymbals, raise up your name, glorify the name. It's right there. That's as far as we can take it, really. And they won't be happy here either, the Christians. All right, one more because Ivanya had so, and then we'll have to adjourn. This is one of the quietest mornings. Go ahead.
You mentioned a star where people are at. You mentioned it before the class.
Preach. Yeah.
Yes. So last night I was listening to a lecture, and they were talking about samsaras. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Samsara.
Samsara?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So they were saying that we have different samsaras. We are own samsara. So something like
samskars.
Oh, samskars. So sorry,
yeah.
I pronounced it wrong. I thought I was going to samskars.
Samskars.
Samskars. So this came to mind. It just kind of like related. I don't know. I related to this because sometimes like what he was discussing. We trying to meet people where we are at, not where they're at, and in a way we kind of passing judgment, I would say sometimes, and we have to understand that just because someone it's maybe we could show up in a place for let's say at 9 a.m. and they show up at 9 p.m. 9 a.m. and they show up at 9:20 a.m. It does not matter. It's not it doesn't mean that I'm right and they're wrong. Something like that. So they were discussing that. So maybe you can comment on the samskaras.
Yeah, some samskars. I mean, there's two general meanings. Samskars are like rituals that you perform for purification, but samskars also means impressions in the mind, and I think that's what they're referring to. And it's true, of course, that we have these from this life and previous lives, and they give us tendencies of how we want to act and personality, so many things. So, I mean, passing judgment. You listen to Prabhupada's lectures, that's practically all he's doing is passing judgment. But he says, I didn't say it. Krishna said it. You're going to criticize Krishna? Namam dushkrita no mudhava padyate naradama. That anyone who doesn't, Krishna says, anyone who doesn't worship me is fool number one. He's an ass. I use that word a lot, mudha. And the nature of demons, So it's not something that we don't pound people over the head with, especially you're meeting someone the first time. You try to find a way in which they can relate to you and to the philosophy and take another step. Whether it's getting a book, coming to the temple, taking prasadam, or just leaving with a positive view of you, of the Hare Krishnas. So, but the thing is, we know most people are at, and ourselves also, is that we're not pure devotees. They have so many samskars, they have so many tendencies from previous lives. They're bound up, but you see them as victims, as in a sense. I mean, they made the choice to come to the material world, but then it's like someone suffering and they don't know why. You're in a position really of a doctor. You have to give a treatment that they'll take that will help them. If you give them a radical treatment that they're not going to take, what's the use? So it's the art of preaching and teaching that you don't alienate people, but eventually, if they get a book and they open the book, then they're going to see, hopefully they're attracted by the philosophy and by the description of the benefits of bhakti. So when they come across something that says, yeah, I really am in that state, they'll take it seriously and it won't blow them away. So it's a fine line, but it's the art of teaching and preaching so that we can move people to take the next step toward Krishna. That's basically it. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Bol.